Hi everyone, welcome back to another season review. This is Steve. Once again, I'm coming at you with a season-long team building challenge. If we take a look back at last season's quarterfinals, I noticed something. Volcarona's safety goggles were knocked off in Game 1, so it didn't get sleep powdered the following 2 games. Hariyama didn't bring Fake Out, so Covert Cloak on Revavroom did nothing. Trick Room never went up, so Iron Ball was a detriment on Flareon, and Room Service did nothing on Slowking. Iron Hands had the only item that actually did anything, and it was only a Citrus Berry that hardly had any impact. So out of the 5 Mons that played, only a single one of their items actually activated. Knowledge of Volcarona's item at least changed the way my opponent had to play. Based on that information, I wanted to find out how often my item choices actually mattered. To do this, I decided that if an item ever activated, had an effect, or was otherwise revealed to my opponent, I could never use it again for this entire season. For specific rules, single-use items such as a berry, normal gem, or eject button must be used to count. If any item is ever frisked, knocked off, thieved, or tricked, in general any effect that spells out to my opponent what item I had, that counts as well. For type-boosting items, they count if a move of that type was used, like a water-type move with Mystic Water. Expert Belt would only count if a super effective move was used. Choice items would count if a move was used that suits specs or banned. Life Orb would count for all attacks, Wise Glasses for special attacks, and Muscle Band for physical attacks. Items with special effects like King's Rock or Quick Claw must have that effect actually happen, in this case a flinch or a Quick Claw activation, to count. An Assault Vest would count if the user gets hit and not KO'd by a special move, regardless of if it would have KO'd or not without the item. The same applies to Eviolite, but to the user getting hit by any move and not KO'd. And that about covers the rules. Of course, after the draft, I get put in a group that has 3 teams with Frisk, so it's already not looking good. As opposed to the no reusing moves challenge last season, I didn't plan ahead because I had less certainty on whether an item would be used or not, over the moves I planned on using. So I built one series at a time and planned as I went. So how did I want to draft a team like this? I wanted to be incredibly bulky, with each Mon having useful abilities, so that the items would have less of an impact if they weren't useful. It was a similar idea as the no reusing moves challenge. During the power rankings, Jace summed up my thought process brilliantly, even though we never spoke about my draft.
Something with this team where specifically when prepping for it, it is a nightmare. And this is why. You see Tinglu and Dondozo, that's the start. Okay. Ground and water type, I'll bring my grass type. Steve immediately says, nope, I have Arcanine Hisui. That's a fire type. Okay, you say, okay, fine, but now you're all physical attackers, I'll bring Intimidate. Nope, I have Articuno Galar with competitive. Okay, well, all those Pokemon are okay, but now my water type is going to beat Tinglu, Ball Dondozo, and beat Arcanine. Nope, now we have Rotom. Okay, well...
I'll try to outspeed it.
I'll try to outspeed it, exactly. Because now
Hey,
Pokemon are the
I
best.
think you just
Dragon
read
Balls. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm literally, okay, I'm going to bring Trick Room instead, here's Weird Ear. And then Fortress, if you say that you're going to outbulk this team, Fortress is extremely bulky with Iron Defense Body Press and the Tinglu Vessel of Ruin, right?
Nice.
So Muck, Phalanx, Meryl, I think also have merit, but this team has a very specific hard counter answer to everything that all of the other members are concerned about.
Thanks, Jace. So instead of explaining all the item choices for each week, because I did that in all the team builders already, I'm just going to go through which items were used and not used each week, ignoring any Mons that didn't hit the field, because obviously their items didn't get used. Against Poppin in week 1, I used almost every item I brought, even though he didn't bring Frisk Gothorito. Eviolite and essentially Meryl with it were gone for the season, as were the Colbur and Rindo berries, Normal Gem, and Loaded Dice. Not a good start to lose 5 items in a 2-1 loss. However, we did keep the Assault Vest, as Tinglu was in for 1 turn, where it got low-kicked, and then grass-knotted for a clean KO. My opponent could not have known it was Assault Vest, and it did nothing to live Grass Knot. In Week 2, James forced me to use 3 items as we got a 2-0 victory. As a timeout victory. Rocky Helmet Ting Lu activated against Water Urshifu, Rotom used its Citrus Berry, and Fortress used a Life Orb. Dondozo had an Aguav Berry, which never activated, and Weirdeer's Mental Herb wasn't used. Citrus and Life Orb are 2 tough items to lose though, as they will almost always be useful. Week 3 against Void, I brought the same 4 mons to all 3 games, and only 2 of them used items. Articuno's Ayapapa Berry and Arcanine's Clear Amulet against Landorus's Intimidate. Clear Amulet being gone was the clear hard hitter after this week, but it was another win to put us at 2-1. Chesto Resto was on Dozo this week, who never went to sleep, and Covert Cloak Ting Lu came for Knucklestack Salt Cure, but Ting Lu was never hit by a move with a secondary effect. Against Pygo's Rain team in Week 4, I swept primarily with a Choice Band Arcanine. Dragapult had a Choice Scarf to outspeed Basculegion in Rain. I agonized over whether this counted or not, because Pult only ever moved when it would have had the speed advantage anyway, either by being Dragapult, the fastest mon in the format, or by being paralyzed and under Tailwind, therefore still being Dragapult. In the end, I decided it counted because it stayed in to click Draco Meteor twice, effectively meaning the locking effect of the scarf did activate. Ting Lu's room service never went off, and weather never went up, so Articuno's utility umbrella also did nothing. Another 2-0 victory with only 4 mons used, but we lose 2 very useful choice items. Next up was a Frisk week, as Zero's Gal had Shuppet and actually led it in Game 1, revealing Safety Goggles on Articuno and White Herb on Arcanine, so both of those can immediately not be used for the rest of the season. Ting Lu's Roselli Berry activated against a Flutter Mane attack, and the White Herb actually did get used on Arcanine anyway. Weirdeer had an Assault Vest, but was never hit by any move, let alone a special move, and Dondozo had a Lumberry, but never got statused. This is also when people started catching on, I think, as Ray posted this message to the Discord, to which I respond with this absolute nonsense. Anyway, we won 2-1, and we're 4-1 on the season. But wait, there's more! After this week, I was looking at my games and realized I had not reused a single Tera type this season across sets. This would be less obvious looking at the builds because I didn't do it intentionally, so there were repeated Tera types in the builders. In-game, however, my Teras looked like this. Week 1 I used Poison Dondozo in 2 games and Fairy Arcanine. Week 2 it was Grass Ting Lu and Electric Dondozo. Week 3, Poison Ting Lu, Ground Dondozo, and Flying Arcanine. Week 4, Dragon Arcanine, and Dark Articuno. Dark Akuno? Week 5, Grass Arcanine for all 3 games. Now, is this really that hard of a challenge? Obviously not if I could do it completely by accident. However, I am going to keep it going because it's fun. 2 challenges, baby! In Week 6, we played Jace, whose lineup surprised me because they were doing their own challenge. Check out that video in the description. Jace also called me out in the video, as they had clearly figured out the gimmick by this point.
Alright, Tera Muck Ghost messed us up. Tera Muck Shadow Sneak. Ooh, heat! Heat in a sheet. Okay, I don't know why I said that. Steve, you think you're fucking slick with Persianberry Rotom? You think I don't know exactly what the fuck you're doing?
Thanks again, Jace. I got frisked again, which revealed King's Rock and Lumberry on lead, one of which is a useful item. As the earlier clip showed, Persianberry also got frisked, which is a funny item to lose in a challenge like this. A Guavberry got frisked after my 3rd time trying to use it, and none of the items were actually used, which is sad, but it was another 2-0 win and 5-1 on the season. But I did lose all 4 items because of frisk. 2 fresh Teras on previously unterred mons with Ice Rotom and Ghost Muck. With playoffs locked up, I brought some memes against Braff in the last week. Splash Plate on Meryl and Spooky Plate on Dragapult were used. I brought no item on Weirdeer, to which Electric suggested that was a unique item slot, and I figured, sure, why not? I'm probably not going to do that again because Poltergeist doesn't exist yet, so I lose my no item slot for the season. Fortress didn't use its blunder policy, nor did Arcanine's heavy-duty boots, which were brought for Kleavor. Tinglu had a power belt, but would have been the slowest mon on the field every turn anyway. There's 5 of those items, let's just say it counted, whatever. Ghost Arcanine came in 2 games, and Ground Weirdeer, which is really limiting the Teras available to Arcanine at this point. So we end 5-2, top of the division, and pick Chemodude for the first round of the playoffs. Here's the items we can't use. There's some influential items here, such as the Citrus and Lumberries, Choice Band and Scarf, a few Resist Berries, Life Orb, Clear Amulet, and Eviolite. The rest are pretty niche. In total, through 7 best of 3s totaling 18 games, I used or revealed 22 unique items, or just over 3 per series. On the Tera side, we've used 5 very useful Teras on Arcanine, 2 good Teras and a niche one on Dondozo, 2 good Teras on Tinglu, probably the best Tera for Articuno, and a bunch of other very niche Teras. Yes, I Tera'd Arcanine in 5 out of 6 weeks it came, and in fact 8 out of the 18 total games of the regular season. The only week I didn't Tera it didn't hit the field because I didn't want to use my Choice Scarf yet. That was Tera Electric, by the way, and also would have been a unique Tera type. Unfortunately, we tanked the quarterfinals loss again in a very tough series, 2-1. Game 3 went to turn 69. Nice. Camo certainly outbuilt and outplayed me. Assault Vest finally got used on Arcanine, as did Choice Specs on Rotom, and Leftovers on Dondozo nearly allowed me to steal a Game 3. Room Service on Tinglu did not go off once again. Cherry Berry had no use without an Impidimp or Electrode in play, and Muck just got Tera blasted, so Mago Berry did nothing. For Teras, we finished the season using Bug Arcanine, Ghost Dragapult, and Fairy Dondozo. So what takeaways do I get from this season? First, it's very hard to win a playoff match after 7 weeks of eliminating options from play, as we can see from both the last 2 seasons. Second, bringing these niche items will often lead to them doing nothing unless you have a way of self-activating, particularly the power items and Room Service. The bulky berries don't often get activated even with a team as bulky as mine. If you want your item to do something, for sure, your easy contenders are damage boosting items, Choice Scarf, Citrus Berry, Resist Berries, Eviolite, and Sash on a Frail Mon. Covert Cloak and Clear Amulet are also likely to be good brings and are usually obvious to bring when looking at matchups. Thanks for watching, everybody. What craziness will I cook up for next season? Stay tuned to find out. Peace.